Welcome back. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue our study. Welcome back, Brother Mark, Sister Heavenly Garden, Brother Kelly, and others. We're going to continue our study as we were studying Hosea, the prophecy of Hosea, Hosea chapter 11. We didn't get deep into Hosea chapter 11 because we did a lot of background, and that background caused us to go in a couple of other directions related to what we're going to study. But I think it was necessary. Sometimes the Spirit of the Father will do that. And because the whole one of the points of doing these Bible studies, as I mentioned earlier, is for other people to learn that they might be teachers of the Most High. He's going to call 144,000 of us brothers to do that. So I don't know, who might be hearing something and going somewhere and doing what they do, but it's for that. Also, the purpose, aside from calling other teachers, is for all of us to learn and be prepared, and for the brethren to be inspired, encouraged, and strengthened in the truth. Okay, so sometimes in doing that, I might have an agenda that I'm teaching, about what the Most High gave me on something, and then all of a sudden we might go in a different direction. The Most High Spirit might lead us in a different direction, so that some brother, some sister will catch what they need to catch for them to grow and learn. So praise the Most High. So that happens sometimes. So that's what happened earlier today. And as y'all seen, it happened before, but not always. I like to try to stick with what he gives me to teach. So, but sometimes he'll interrupt this program to bring you a special announcement, so to speak. So sometimes that happens. So we talked the last time in talking about Hosea. We're dealing with Ephraim, the head of the northern kingdom. And it's teaching us in Hosea's prophecy what happened to Ephraim. Where are they? Who are they? It's showing us in this prophecy. Also, we talked about, beginning in terms of chapter 11, the Israelite relationship with Mizraim, with Cush. We have long history with the family of Mizraim, which is called in the Bible Egypt. That's Mizraim. By the way, let me just show you that. That's Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10, just for anybody that didn't know, Genesis chapter 10. And so let's start at Genesis chapter 10. We're talking about the children of Ham. Genesis chapter 10, beginning at verse 6. Genesis chapter 10, beginning at verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, and Havilah, and Sabda, and Ra'amah, and Sabteka. And the sons of Ra'amah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahweh. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Ashur, and builded Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah, and Rezin, between Nineveh and Calah. The same is a great city. And Mizraim begot Ludim, and Anamim, and Lahabim, and Naphtuim, and Patrusim, and Kalsuim, out of whom came Philistine, and Kaphorim, and Canaan begot whoever Canaan begot. So you see that the children of Ham, two of them children, are Cush, his firstborn, and Mizraim. Mizraim is the word, when you go and you look in the Bible, and you spend many places, I don't know about the New Testament so much, but the Old Testament, when you look up the word Egypt in Hebrew, it will show you Mizraim, because Mizraim is the original name of the son that founded that great empire Mizraim founded, was now called Egypt. It was changed to Egypt by Europeans. They changed the name to Egypt. That wasn't the name that was given by the Most High. I just want to let y'all know that. And then, of course, Cush, that name was changed by the Europeans to Ethiopia. That wasn't the original name. The original name is Cush. Okay, that's the original name. So when you look up Ethiopia, you'll see Cush, because that's the original name. So we have a long history with Cush and Mizraim, a long history. Cush and Mizraim were two of the sons of Ham who's ended up becoming nations and empires. And they dominated the whole planet of the then inhabited world for more than almost 2 millennium, like 2,000 years, a long time. Okay. And so when you're dealing with, on that level, you're knowing how much history they have in terms of the Bible. Now, the Bible talks about a 6,000 year history. Now, many people want to argue and debate about how old the earth is. It's not an arguing debate that the Israelites need to be involved with. Because for us, all of our history, all of everything that we're dealing with from the Creator is 6,000 years in terms of what he's showing us in his word, which is going to be not only our history of our coming into existence, but also the end of this earth. Again, what makes the Bible different from every other book of philosophy, because the Bible is not a book of philosophy, is the prophetic utterance from an eternal spirit. There's a prophetic utterance. That means he's teaching us what's coming. It's not just about do's and don'ts. It's not just about principles. It's not just about a philosophy of life. He's showing us what he's showing us is the future. He's showing us the past and how we got to where we are now. All of that is more important than anything about a philosophy. Okay. And so that's what makes this book different. The prophetic utterance. And brethren, that's why his chosen are going to learn prophecy. In order to learn prophecy, you must first read the book. Let me tell you something. And people will argue, I like to tell this because a lot of people get confused. There's a lot of deception and confusion on this earth right now. Let me just make something pretty clear. This book was translated into English by European monks of the Catholic Church. They did not create the doctrines of the book. They merely translated it from the original Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek tongues into English. Many people confuse the fact that they translated it and saying they wrote it. Incorrect. They translated words that was already written. That's point one. Point two, they showed us what they wanted us to see, because when people hide things from us, never forget this principle, brethren. When people in this world's power hide things from the chosen, they hide it in plain sight. Let me say that again. When people of the powers of this world that Asatan controls hide things from the chosen, they don't put it away somewhere. They hide it in plain sight. And they do that because they control you here so that they can show you and you still won't see it. This principle started in Genesis chapter 11. Let's go back there to Nimrod for a second. Genesis chapter 11. Beginning at verse 1. Genesis chapter 11, beginning at verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. So at this time, when Nimrod was ruling the earth and his civilizations were supreme, the earth only had one language. They only had one language. And this was Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahweh. In other words, they were exalting Nimrod as a god. And he had created civilizations, him and his people, or the Hamitic people. They created civilizations, empires. These weren't people living in caves and huts. They created mathematics and writing and putting things in historical terms and art and surgery. These things they were doing. And they all spoke the same language. Then what happened? Verse 2. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. So they were building things of what we would call today cement before people even understood what that was. Okay? And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. So they were trying to consolidate their power and have a capital city that would represent the consolidation of their power on the entire earth. They were led by Nimrod and his civilization, and they all spoke the same language. Okay. Verse 5. And Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And Yahweh said, behold, this people is become one, and they have all one language. This they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to. Let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because Yahweh did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did Yahweh scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. So they were confounded in the language. Now, you've heard of secret societies such as the Freemasons, right? One of the things, I'm not a Freemason, by the way, but one of the things I think a Freemason would help you understand, would agree with what I'm about to say, is that they can communicate with symbols. Okay? They can communicate with symbols and hand gestures. Like people always, because I move my hands a lot, people have accused me of doing that. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not a Freemason. I don't support Freemasons or any secret society. I need you to understand that. Whatever. Okay? I just move my hands a lot because my people are expressive, and that's how we do. But they can communicate with symbols and hand gestures so that they can create symbols that make communication with other initiated people. And the initiates would understand the communication. This is to defy the Most High, who confounded their language and messed up their communication. Therefore, since that time, when they want to hide something, they take pride in hiding it in plain sight, where only the initiated understand. Are you following me? You understand that? So that's why since then, they've always tried, the powers that are in charge of the earth that are controlled by Asatan, always hide things in plain sight. They don't take books and hide them from you. They give you the book. And they control your mind so you don't understand what you're looking at. They do that all the time. Like I mentioned 9/11 and other things like that. They do it right in front of you. And then they give you all kind of information, false information, and they mind control you so that it's right in front of you and you won't see it or understand it. And if you do see it, you won't believe what you're seeing. You won't believe it. And then enough time goes by and they try to change the history. That's why they're having such a big deal now about, what do you call it now? What they call it? Race theory, critical race theory. Because really what the end result is they're trying to change history. You can't change history. The Most High has given it to us in prophecy. And it also exists in all of us. We're all products of our history. They can try to mind control you, though, and deny what you look like, where you are, what's going on with you, right in front of you, right? Change history. So, for example, The young boy Rittenhouse was acquitted yesterday. Okay, he was acquitted yesterday. Now we all saw the video. He's walking down the street with a loaded rifle. Okay, he killed a couple of people. Now they said it was self-defense. Then he went to the police and he raised his hands like this and he walked right past them. And they gave him the thumbs up. But many brothers have died for reaching what the cops thought was a gun. Didn't have one, but they said they felt threatened. Now that's right in front of us. And you can know they're going to treat the Hebrews much different than they treat their cousins. But they want you to believe that's not the case, though it's right in front of you. You see what I'm saying? They got people out there parroting. Even they get cool. Let me not say that because they might not like that on YouTube. They even get these sellouts to try to parrot the falsehood. And they keep parroting it like a parakeet. They keep repeating it. No, there's no racism. No, that's not true. No, we don't treat anybody different. And then some of us start to believe that crap. But you're seeing, your eyes are not lying to you. It's right in front of you. See? They do this all the time. All the time. Why do I bring that up? Because the truth is right in front of us. It's not hidden from us. They're not trying to trick us and put something, no. Say, well, what about the Apocrypha? The Most High allowed it to be taken out. He allowed that. I read the Apocrypha. It does not go with this. Oh, you can quote a scripture here or there. So can the Christians. They could take a verse and make it fit their doctrine here or there. Sure they can. But when you read this book, the whole thing for yourself, Genesis to Revelation, it tells you not only tells you everything that's going to happen, tells you what past happened, and tells you where you are now. Not only that, it explains anything about life plainly when you read it. The problem is, it's been hidden in plain sight, and most of us have never read it. And the people we listen to that talk about it, neither have they ever read it. They read part of it. And maybe if they did read it, they might have read it once. And that's pushing it. Most of them have never read it. So you got teachers, the majority of teachers out here today, teaching this book and have never read it. Isn't that amazing? Teaching a book they have never read. That's amazing, isn't it? But that's what's happening. And it's right in front of us. There's no secrets out there that this book doesn't reveal. This book tells us Asatan's plans. It tells us what he's thinking. It tells us what our enemies are thinking. It tells everything. It tells how they're going to lose and why they're going to lose. It tells everything. It's right there in front of us. We just have to read it. No, it's not a Google search that you could just get answers to and think you know it. That's part of the downfall of the information age. You could just Google stuff and get a lot of answers, right? But that doesn't mean you know it. And with regard to this particular book, let me repeat what I said earlier. It's prophetic utterance from an eternal spirit. You will never get to the end of it in terms of the knowledge that it's given you. You will never get to the end of it. You'll always be learning more. Like I said, this is my 19th time reading it. Every single time it gets deeper, brethren. I'm not even lying to you. I bear witness. It's getting deeper and deeper. And I'm learning more and more. And I got, by the grace of the Most High, much more to learn. And when we go to the kingdom, we're going to learn from the mouth of the Creator himself and from his chosen Messiah, Yahushua, whose name will be changed. Okay? So remember these things, okay, as we're going through this book. Please read it. Read it for yourself. That's all you need, you and the Father. Okay? You and the Father. Okay? Now, Chrissy Henry, what you need to understand, which I'm just going to suggest to you, the 1611 KJV was translated, as I said, by Englishmen. They added the Apocrypha to the book. The first translation of the Bible was by, that was actually the King James is based on, is the William Tyndale translation. Did not have an apocrypha. There's no Maccabees in it. Just saying. Okay, that's why when you look in the original King James, there's a separate section for the Apocrypha. There's the Bible translated out of the original tongues, and there's a separate section in the middle of it for the Apocrypha. It was added. It was not there originally. It's not part of the original manuscript. It's not even originally in Hebrew. It's not originally in Hebrew. I'm just telling you. Okay, this is what I did when I read it, and I did my research. And in the 66 books, read them. I tell everybody, read them first. When you read through those 66 books first, you will really clearly understand why the Apocrypha is not something we want to trust in. You will see the Catholicism all in it. Even though it says some verses that are nice verses. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But like I said, Christians do the same thing. They'll take verses and use them too to justify themselves. I don't justify the whole book because some verses sound good. There's some other things in there that it doesn't have. It does not have the most important doctrine in the entire Bible in it. It does not have the revelation prophetic utterance in it. It's not in there. Okay? And those two things I just said are in all of the Bible, the 66 books. But you won't know that until you first read the 66 books. Then go ahead and read the Apocrypha, and you'll understand. And why do I say that too? You need a standard of truth. We won't know what truth is unless there's a standard, a yardstick to say this is what truth is. We don't know what a foot is or what a yard is unless we have a standard of what makes up a yard. Well, inches make up a yard. Feet make up a yard. That's the standard, right? So you have this measurement. It's a yard. It's made up of 36 inches or a meter. How do we measure that? It's 39 inches. Those are standards. You have a standard of the measurement. You have to have a standard of what truth is. If you don't have a standard, you can be led anywhere. The 66 books are the standard. Everything else is measured against it. Okay, that's about as plain as I can say it. You have a standard, and the rest of the books are measured against it. So anything that matches that standard, okay, you can count that as truth because it matches the standard of truth. If it doesn't in any kind of way, it's not completely truth. Therefore, if it's not 100% truth, don't trust in it. That's all I'm going to say on that. Let's continue. Hosea chapter 11. Hosea chapter 11. So we started off talking about the relationship between Egypt or the Mizraim, the children of Mizraim, and the children of Cush and the Hebrews, which we have a long, multiple centuries relationship. Now, somebody might say, well, the Hamites sold us into slavery. Yes, they did. They did. They came into Africa where we had run into their land. And between them and the Arabs that pushed Islam on us, we were either forced to convert, and even if we did convert, they sold us to the children of Japhet. But let us not forget, did not Joseph's own brothers sell him into Egypt? Yes, he did. That doesn't take the onus off the brothers or off the Egyptians for anything that was done to Joseph. Neither does it take the onus off the sons of Japhet who have mistreated us. That fact does not change their judgment. Okay? But we have a long relationship with Mizraim and Cush in the Bible. There's a long-standing relationship that we have had with them. Yeah, praise the Most High. So let's continue. Hosea chapter 11. But as we read, let's start again at verse 1. So now we're starting here now. So let's start at verse 1 again. When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. As they called them, so they went from them. They sacrificed unto Baalim and burned incense to graven images. I taught Ephraim also to go, taking them by their arms, but they knew not that I healed them. I drew them with cords of a man, with bands of love. I was to them as they that take off the yoke on their weight on their jaws, and I laid meat unto them. He shall not return into the land of Egypt, but the Assyrian shall be his king, because they refuse to return. Okay, let's stop here for a minute. So they're used to running into Egypt. Now, Egypt has two meanings in the Bible to the Hebrews. One meaning is, as I mentioned, Mizraim, right? People that we have been connected with for multiple millennium and centuries. The other meaning is, I am Yahweh thy most high, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So Egypt represents people that were friends of ours, so to speak, but also the house of bondage. So that when he says, I'm going to put you into Egypt again by ships, he's telling us he's going to put us into what? The house of bondage, which is really, spiritually speaking, the European powers that have enslaved us. The English, the French, the Belgians, the Portuguese, right? All of them people enslaved us. Okay, and others. But that, y'all got what I'm saying. And then, of course, we know the history, the prophetic utterance of the rise of the land that looks like a lamb, but is really a dragon, the United States of America. Okay, these are all spiritual Egypt, in that they all represented to us the house of bondage. But here in this, they're used to, that is, the Israelites were used to go and run into also to literal Egypt, Mizraim, for safety from problems. But he said, I'm not going to let you go to Egypt this time. I'm going to let the Assyrians rule over you. Now, the Assyrians were actually Semites, but they ruled in a land that was connected to Nimrod. Notice again, Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10. Genesis 10 tells us a lot about history, man, when we just look at it closely. But notice Genesis chapter 10. I'm going to begin at verse 8 with Nimrod, with Ham's firstborn, Cush, and his firstborn, Nimrod. Notice what it says. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahweh. Now, it's going to tell you Nimrod's kingdom right here. All the places that he established his kingdom. Okay. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, which we found out was where they had the tower, right? And Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. So that is Nimrod's kingdom in the land of Shinar. Okay. Now look, out of that land, that is out of the land of Shinar, went forth Ashur and builded Nineveh. So Ashur is another man. Ashur, if you look at it, Ashur is Genesis chapter 10, verse 21 and 22. Well, 22. The children of Shem, Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Luid, and Aram. So Ashur is a Semite, but he went out of the same land that where Nimrod was. And he created also, he was the founder of cities, Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Rezin. Between Nineveh and Calah, the same as a great city. So you had Ashur, who is the father of the Assyrians. Okay, now the Assyrians in Israel, they got a strange history, but at this time, the Assyrians were enemies because they were trying to take over the northern kingdom. They were fighting against it the same way the Babylonians were fighting against Judah later. But here at this time, remember, Hosea is a prophet of the northern tribes. They're fighting against Assyria, and Assyria ends up taking them. In fact, let's take a look at that. I believe it's 1 Kings or 2 Kings chapter 18. Let me just take a look here. No, it was 1 Kings. I think it's 1 Kings chapter 18. Let me get in there. No. It's a little bit further out in 1 Kings, I think. Oh, goodness. Let me find it here. Now I know I got to find it. Hold on. Man, oh, man. Wait. You won't find it, brethren. You know, I can't just let this go. That's the stubborn Israelite in me. I got to find it. So hold on. Bear with me. It's First Kings. I said 18. I was wrong. It's First Kings chapter 17. First Kings chapter 17. Okay, here it is. First Kings chapter 17. I'm going to begin at verse 1, and I'm going to read from verse 1. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse, I don't know. Let's see, where do I want to go? From verse 1 down to verse 7. Let's go with that, with 7. Okay, yep. In the 12th year of Ahaz, the son of Judah, began Hawashai, the son of Allah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, and Hawashai became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hawashai, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria as he had done year by year. Therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hawashai, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah, in Arbar, by the river of Kazan, in the cities of the Medes. And for so it was that the children of Israel sinned against Yahweh their Most High, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and feared other gods. And it goes on, and it tells you in here that the Assyrians took over the northern kingdom and put the people into bondage. And that's why he says in Hosea, I'm not going to let you go to Egypt. I'm going to let the king of Assyria reign over you. Okay? I'm not going to let you go to your safety valve where you always running. I'm going to let the one that you hate that's going to take over rule over you. Well, brethren, is not that our story? We went into Africa and we were there. And we were there for centuries, not just a couple of years. We went into Africa and we were there for multiple centuries. It wasn't until like the 8th century that the Muslims came from so-called Middle East and forced everybody to convert. And you had the establishment of empires, the Mali Empire, the Ghanaian Empire, Timbuktu Empire. You had the empire. These were Muslim empires that was established by after Hamites got converted, and then Israelite Negroes got converted into Islam by the point of a sword. Okay? But we have been there for centuries, and we still stayed there until the Europeans needed work. They needed workers. Then them brothers sold us. They sold us to the Europeans because the Europeans needed workers for what became Brazil. They needed workers for what became Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Hispaniola. They needed workers for what became Central America and Mexico. And then finally, of course, Cuba, Jamaica, and then what? America. They needed workers. And so they started putting the Hebrews into them ships. Okay? They sold us there. But we had been there already. We thought we were safe. Most I said, oh, I'm not going to let you return to Egypt. Not like that. I'm going to put kings over you that don't like you. That's what he did. He did it first to the northern kingdom with the Assyrians, and then, of course, he did it to us, to Judah as well, as he said he would. Okay? As he said he would. This is not new. Thank you. Yeah, second. Was it Second Kings or First Kings? Let me see. Now y'all got me going back looking. Let me just check. I think it was First Kings 17. Nope. It was Second Kings 17. Brother's right. It was Second Kings 17. It was Second Kings chapter 17. Yep, Second Kings 17. Yep. That's where you see the takeover of the northern kingdom by the Assyrians. Yep. How we see the takeover. And you see why it goes. If you read Second Kings chapter 17, just read the whole thing, you will see the whole history. It gives you history king by king when you read First and Second Kings, First and Second Chronicles. But it gives you that chapter, just sums it all up and tells you what happened. Okay, so they took our brothers from the northern tribes into slavery. No problem, brother. You know, hey, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Second Kings chapter 17, though. Read that when you get a chance. But it tells you why he allowed the Assyrians, who are Semites, but they weren't Israelites. Again, I just want to make sure y'all understand. Not every Semite is an Israelite. That's why we are named Hebrew Israelites. There's a reason for that. We're not called Black Hebrew Israelites. I don't know who created that. But the Bible calls us Hebrew Israelites. Why? Shem had a child. He had 5 sons. One of Shem's sons was Arphaxad. Arphaxad's grandson was a man named Eber, where you get the word Hebrew or Ibu, like the Ibus in Nigeria. Then Ebu had some children who had children. And Ebu had a son. He had twins. One was called Perez. Perez means divided. And from Perez down the line, you get Abram. That's why they call Abram, they said Abram the Hebrew, because he was of the lineage not only of Shem, not only of Arphaxad, but Eber. Then Abram, who is Abram, the Bible says the Hebrew, he had a child of promise, Isaac, Yasha'ak. Yasha'ak had a child of promise, Yaakov, whose name was changed to Yasha'al or Israel. So now the promised children come from Israel through Jacob, through Abraham, from Eber, from Arphaxad. So you got a whole bunch of people that may be Shemitic, but there's only one chosen seed. They have to be Shemitic from Eber, the Hebrew, through Abraham, through Jacob, whose name was changed to the Most High, names his name to Israel. That's why we're Hebrew Israelites. It's a bloodline thing. It's not a name thing. It's not a color thing. It's a bloodline thing. Okay, it's a bloodline thing. So it's not Black Hebrew Israelites. People use that term, and I understand because we've been labeled Black or Caucasian by the people that are in charge of the earth, the children of Yafet. That's who's really running the earth. Asatan is using the children of Yafet to run this thing right now, as prophecy has showed us. But Yah's chosen are Hebrew Israelites. We're Hebrew from Eber, and we come from Jacob, whose name was changed by the Most High to Israel. And we're the descendants, bloodline descendants of that man. Okay? And his 12 sons. All right? That's why we're Hebrew Israelites. Now, Ashur was also a Semite, but he was not a Hebrew Israelite. So you got all kinds of Semites out here. But there's only one chosen people. And you want to know who they are? Look for the ones that were enslaved. That's how you find them. Look for the ones that were always enslaved, placed in captivity. The ones who can't own anything without somebody coming and burning it down. Then you'll find them. That's who they are. Everything starts with Judah. We talking about Ephraim, but you're going to see it. Everything starts with Judah. In the United States, that's where Judah is. All them islands on the way, Jamaica, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Judah. Okay. Before Judah got there, the 10 tribes was there first. They were in them islands first because they were 4 centuries before we left the land. 400 years before, 500 years before we left the land. They already gone. That's why they were there. And then they got destroyed first. And then they came back and they came to the Ashanti Kingdom, the Mali Empire, Timbuktu, the Ghanaian kings, and they made deals to sell the Hebrews for workers into slavery. And the Americans took it farther. They said, oh, we're going to breed them. And we're going to do chattel slavery. We're going to keep them slaves forever. And they still mean to do that, y'all. Don't you think otherwise? They only see, look, let me explain this again for y'all because we need to keep this in the forefront of our minds. And I'm talking about you Gentiles too. We need to understand this for you talk about, I don't know why it's just a color thing. You guys hate us. No, you need to understand what's going on. Let's just call them green people and let's call them green people and purple people, just so we can understand. The green people came from Europe. They took over every land they could find. They say they discovered it. They would destroy the people on it and take over the assets of the land. The green people did that. Okay. And so that the green people became the most powerful people on the earth. They ruled the earth, the green people. They went and they were so prosperous in the way they were destroying and taking over assets. They needed workers because the green people didn't want to do all that hard work. So they went to this land and they got purple people. And they enslaved the purple people. They just needed them to work. And they worked it and they got richer and more powerful, but on the backs of these purple people. So that they understand now, they built the civilizations that the green people built. They have it now. And they're saying, well, we can never let these purple people get equal with us because if they do, they'll kill us. That's what we have right now. Remember that. Because the purple people didn't come to the land because they were going through Ellis Island trying to find freedom. They didn't come over here on the Mayflower. They were brought here. They were kidnapped and brought here as slaves, the purple people. Okay? Just to understand that. And that makes them different from every other people in the green man civilization. That makes them different from everybody else. They were kidnapped. Their names were changed. They lost their language. They lost their religion. They lost their identity. And it was meant to happen because they were brought here to be slaves. That has not changed. And let me just put it a little further for you. There is nothing that the green man can do to change that. In other words, it is destined for his empire to fall by the dynamic of the purple people being the people of the chosen of the creator. Exactly. Most people don't even get that part, Heavenly God, but you read Exodus chapter 1, you'll see it right there. The whole principle is right there. But it's the same principle. You can never let the purple people really become equal with you. You can never do that. Because if you did, you're scared that what you did to them is going to come back on you. But the Bible already says it's going to. That's why you have to brainwash the purple people so that what they're looking at in the Bible, you can say, oh, you don't really see that. You don't really understand. No, you don't see that. No, that's not what it says. Yeah, it does. Let me speak in the green man's language. Karma. Karma's coming. It's your turn next. We are ambassadors for the Messiah, and we beseech you in Messiah's stead, be ye reconciled to Yahweh. Your turn is coming. Mr. Green Man. Purple Man's time is coming back. That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Brother Hines. That's exactly right. They're trying to figure it out. Because they don't want to give up the kingdom that they built on our backs. They don't want to give it up. They want the power, but they know just in turn, even if you go by man's wisdom and logic, no kingdom lasts forever on this earth. No kingdom does. They all come and they all go. Power comes and power goes. It's historical. So, but you're always going to have that one that thinks it's not me. No, my kingdom going to last forever. Nebuchadnezzar thought the same thing. Asatan is thinking the same thing. We're going to see. But I'm telling you, you can never fix what you did to the purple man. You can never do it. You can never give him what you owe him. You can't. Okay, you really can't. And they know that. They know that. There's no way. Yeah, exactly. They know that. So they're trying their best to do everything they can to prolong their time. That's what they're doing. But prophecy is against them. The eternal spirit that breathed prophecy into this book is against them. And so and we can see it right now. That 2017 sign, that was it, brethren. That was the sign right there. Oh, they look at it in the scientific world. Oh, it's a full eclipse. Yeah, it was. That was your sign. That was the trumpets telling you. That was the trumpet sound warning you. You ain't got much time left. You ain't got much time left. That was the sign right there. That was the blowing of the trumpets. We're about to go 10 years down the road. 2027 is when that spirit's coming, brethren. And then we ain't got much longer. 2032 is it. Not going to last longer than that. And it might be finished before that. Okay? It's coming. And within there, you're going to see a 3.5-year period. The Bible talks about it. Brethren, it's all coming. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing no one can do. All the green people could do, the wise among the green people, is surrender. That's really all they could do. Surrender and come to this truth, because the purple people are coming. They coming. They coming. Because the Most High has ordained it. And what does the Bible say? The wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And what I just said, y'all will understand who need to understand. Here we go. Hosea chapter 11. So he said, I'm not going to let you go back to Egypt, northern kingdom. You're not going to have no comfort. I'm going to let kings that hate you, the Assyrians, rule over you. Okay? Hosea chapter 11, that was verse 5. Let me read verse 5 again. He shall not return into the land of Egypt, but the Assyrians shall be his king, because they refused to return. And the sword shall abide on his cities, and shall consume his branches, and devour him because of their own counsels. Verse 7. And my people are bent to backsliding from me. Though they called them to the Most High, none at all would exalt him. How shall I give thee up, Ephraim? How shall I deliver thee, Israel? How shall I make thee as Admah? How shall I set thee as Zeboim? Mine heart is turned within me, where our repentings are kindled together. You see, he's saying, I loved y'all. I love y'all. I don't want to give you up like that. I don't want y'all to have to go through this. Y'all are the children of my friend Abraham. I don't want to have you go through this. But it's the only way. I gotta break you down. Isn't that what the Most High has to do to us? For us to return to him for real? Don't we, what they call it today? What they call it? They call it what? Hitting rock bottom. Isn't that what they call it? They said, when you get ready to turn, you got to first do what? You got to hit rock bottom. When you hit rock bottom, you're humbled enough to recognize. Well, he didn't want that to happen, but he's realizing Ephraim's got to hit rock bottom. Okay, this is what he's saying here. Now, let's continue. Verse 9. Hosea chapter 11, verse 9. I will not execute the fierceness of my anger. I will not return to destroy Ephraim, for I am Yahweh and not man, the Holy One in the midst of thee. I will not enter into the city. They shall walk after Yahweh. They shall roar like a lion when he shall roar. When the children shall tremble from the west, they shall tremble as a bird out of Egypt, and as a dove out of the land of Assyria, and I will place them in their houses, saith Yahweh. Now watch verse 12. Watch verse 12, the last verse of this particular chapter. Ephraim compasseth me about with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit. But Judah yet ruleth with Yah, and is faithful to his saints. Let's stop right here for a second. So at the time of the writing of this prophecy, the northern tribes were being taken by the Assyrians. What we read in Second Kings chapter 7, Second Kings chapter 17. What we read there was what was going on when Hosea was given this prophecy, right? So Judah at that time had not been taken. Judah was still blessed by the Most High for several more centuries. Now, they internally was also tripping, and they were going to catch that. But he wasn't talking about at that time. So he said, Judah yet ruled with Yah and is faithful. Now, let's compare that to what Jacob said about his son Judah and their future in Genesis chapter 49. Genesis chapter 49. Jacob knows he's about to die. He's 147 years old, and the brother's given the future of each of his sons, right? He's naming each of his sons according to their birth, and he's telling of their future. Now, let's look at what he says about Judah. Genesis chapter 49, I'm going to begin at verse 8. Genesis chapter 49, beginning at verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey. My son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. Until him shall the gathering of the people be. So Judah is going to be the leader of the return to who we are. That is why the United States is the hotbed of the oppression of Judah today. Because the United States is the last power of the earth being controlled by the beast power of Rome before the destruction comes. And so, and we talked about the desperation of the children of Yefet to keep their power. Well, the Asatan understands he's got to keep Judah suppressed to keep his power. That's why in this country, in the United States of America, you're going to get more Judah oppression. Because we Judah. And all the countries where Judah is, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, you're going to get more oppression of Judah. Because out of Judah will come forth the truth. Judah, it said, what did he say? It says it right here. Wait, let me go back there. Genesis chapter 49. Verse 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. Unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Now that's talking about Messiah. Messiah is of the line of the tribe of Judah, but he's the lion, he's the leader, he's the truth. And so what? Japhet tries his best to misrepresent Messiah, right? Turn him into a flowery, soft Caucasian man. Why? Because he don't want us to know that he's the lion of the tribe of Judah that's going to get the necks of his enemies. He don't want us to know that. He don't want us to know we're the children of Judah, and out of us come first this present truth. He don't want us to know that. But it don't matter what he wants. You cannot stop the eternal spirit of prophetic utterance. You can't stop it. And so it's already happening. It's already happening. And as time gets closer to the close, it's going to become clearer. He's going to make it more clearer and more clearer. Not with guns, not with bullets, not with marching on Washington and protest. No. With an eternal spirit of perfect righteousness and prophetic utterance. There's nothing our Satan can do about that. So he tries to, best he can, put it right. It's in our face, in plain sight. Try to brainwash us. Try to confuse us. Try to hire us to confuse us. Was not Judas the traitor, an Israelite of Judah? Was not Fred Hampton's traitor a black man? Were there not black people all around Malcolm X working for the FBI and the police when they murdered him? And the murderer they let go back to New Jersey where he came from and changed his name? Always us. That's prophetic. Always us. But we don't worry about Judas. the traitors. Don't worry about the traitors. No, we need to find truth in the spirit of the Father. We're at the time right now where angels are coming to protect us, brethren. As we get the truth, this is the difference between us who have the truth. Malcolm X was there for a little while, and he followed the truth that he knew, but it wasn't what we know now. He does not know anything. He did not know anything like we know right now, because the Most High has given us this stuff. The more truth you receive, the more protection of power of grace and spirit you will get. That's the benefit of being in truth. You understand? And as we are now getting to the closing years of this earth, some of us, you might put me to sleep, might put some of us to sleep. Fine. Now, no problem with that, because I know there's a resurrection. But there's some of us that's going to live all the way to the end. And there's nothing that Asatan could do about it. Because angel of Yahweh encampeth round about them that fear him and delivereth them. That's the truth about it. And as we're getting closer to this thing rounding up, it's going to get clearer and more powerful and more clearer. That's why it's important for us to stand for truth. Always truth. For the Father's sake. For Father Yah's glory. Not man's glory. Not nobody church's glory. For Father Yah's glory. Not for money. Filthy lucre. No. For Yah's glory. He don't need nobody's money. You don't need nobody's greenbacks. Praise the Most High. He is the eternal spirit of perfect righteousness, brethren. That's all he needs from us, is to surrender to that. And he's going to bless us. There's nothing sweeter than truth, brethren. There's nothing sweeter than truth. Oh, it might hurt. Remember what John said. It was sweet in his mouth, but it made his belly bitter. It might hurt because it's our pride getting hurt. But at the end of the day, when we receiving it and we get past our feelings, it's sweet. There's nothing sweeter, man. Nothing sweeter. That's why I keep reading this book. I keep reading it, and I read it again, and I read it again, and I read it again, because it's sweet, y'all. It's addictively sweet. It's better than any candy. It's sweet. See, so praise the Most High. Ephraim compassed me about with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit, but Judah yet ruleth with Yah, and is faithful with the saints. Out of Judah shall the people be gathered. That's deep, but that's what it is, though. Multiple levels of deep. Praise the Most High. But it starts with Messiah. Yeah, praise the Most High, Yah. Yeah. So that was Hosea chapter 11. Praise the Most High. And we're going to continue by the grace of the Most High. Next Friday is chapter 12 by the grace of the Most High. And, it's interesting. We were going to be going away for Thanksgiving to brethren, but as it turns out, the Most High has ordained for us to stay. So there'll be a Wednesday night prayer meeting, Bible study, and there'll be a Friday night Bible study next week. So we'll be here. We're not going nowhere. So we'll be right here. But pray for the brethren, because the brethren that we were supposed to be seeing got the COVID. They got the COVID. The family got the COVID. So just pray for the brethren. That's the sister, the Daniels family. Pray for them, that the Most High bless them. Faithful with the saints. That the saints. Oh, that's a good question, Brother Williams asked. Well, let me ask you a question now. According to the Bible, who are the saints? According to the Bible, who are the saints? And they're not New Orleans either. According to the Bible, who are the saints? The saints of the house of Israel. Just like the church. The saints in the church, right? The house of Israel. That's right. So they're faithful as Israel. That's right. So when he says they're faithful with the saints, that is the faithful ones of the house of Israel. Remember he's saying here, Ephraim is lying, man. Ephraim is gone. They're gone unto idols. But Judah ruleth with the Most High. He's faithful with the saints. The saints are the Israelite people, the faithful Israelite people. You got that, Brother William? So the faithful Israelite people are the saints. See, there you go. Praise the Most High. And so somebody might say, well, the New Testament, Paul calls these churches the saints. That's right. Why are they saints? Because they did what? They got grafted in to the Israelite people. They got grafted into the olive tree. So they become saints with us. Now, they're not bloodline, but they still saints with us. Thanksgiving was created as a pagan holiday. But the truth is now out that them pilgrims were just murderers, right? Rapists, murderers, right? Colonizers, right? And brought disease. But right now we give thanks to our brothers who was to Most High had our brothers here. And we remember our brothers that was here. That's why I'm telling y'all, man, these Indians, they're Israelites. They're the northern tribes. So we give thanks for the Most High causing us to survive and our brothers to survive. That's what we give thanks for. Praise the Most High. You see what I'm saying, Sister Wade? So yeah, they created it to celebrate their murderous ways, but we give thanks because our brothers suffered and our brothers survived. And the Most High has kept us right here. Even Judah kept us here with the northern tribes. And our brothers and us are still here. Praise the Most High. That's right. Praise the Most High. So we give thanks to the Most High Yahweh for what he has done for us. Praise the Most High. They had what they had recently. They had what they call it a Columbus Day. Columbus, a rapist, murderous, colonizer. But now we know they call it what? Native American? No, forget that. Northern Tribes, survival. Praise the Most High. Northern Tribes, survival day. That's what it is. Survival of the Northern Tribes, daggone it. That's what it is. That's right. Praise the Most High. It wasn't no Italian thing. There wasn't no Italians over here. Them's the ones come here trying to colonize for the Roman church. You understand? No, these are survival of our brothers. The Northern Tribes, survival day. Yeah, we're still here. And the tribe of Judah you brought here, we still here. Ah, Sister Josephine, that's different. That's why the Mayflower came here, right? The Mayflower came here, but Christopher Columbus didn't come here for that. Christopher Columbus came here on behalf of Rome. That's why they say he could have discovered it. He came here on behalf of Rome. Him and Ponce de Leon, right? Ponce de Leon, Christopher Columbus, Amerigo Vespucci. They came here to discover, to conquer. The Pilgrims came here to escape Rome. They came here to escape Rome. On the Mayflower, that's a whole different thing. But they still created slaves out of the Indians, even the Pilgrims, right? The Pilgrims came here and they landed on Jamestown and they landed on Plymouth Rock, right? But the Hebrews, as Malcolm X said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. The Northern tribes could say the same thing. That's right. They came here. The Pilgrims came here. And that's what I was saying last night in Massachusetts. What's that woman's name? They got a woman there, a statue of her, because she killed a whole bunch of Indians with her axe, killed babies and men and women while they were sleeping, and made her a hero. Yeah, so yeah, the Pilgrims came here to escape Rome and then brought Rome with them. Called it Christianity and Puritans. Same result. Same result. Right? But Thanksgiving and Columbus Day, we look at that as celebrating the survival of our brothers and how the Most High has kept us from all of this genocide they put on us. We still here. They brought 500,000 of us from the west coast of Africa here. And now, with all the death they put on us, we 46 million. Wait, talk to me, right? Right? Talk to me. Please. And that's not even including all the northern tribes that's here. They don't even know how to count them. They don't even know how to count. But the northern tribes that's here and the brothers that came here from Judah. That's what I'm celebrating. That's what we celebrate. Praise the Most High. We call it survival. We give thanks to the Most High. For he calls us to survive. We still here. we still here. As a sign of the chosen, we still here. Praise the Most High. See, when you know who you are from the word, how it is, and it ain't like we got hatred for the Caucasians. I have no hatred for Caucasians. Y'all should know that. I baptized, and some of y'all watching Caucasians, you know I baptized you, right? In the name of the Hebrew Messiah. So it ain't that. But we just celebrating the Most High Yahweh and being his chosen for what he has done for us. And those of y'all with us, you could come ride with us. We good. Come ride. We good. That's why I said the purple people are coming. The green people's kingdom is coming to an end. Those of y'all of the green, just come on over. We got you. Just come on. Let's ride. Surrender and we be good. The ones that are trying to fight for this green kingdom, they're the ones gonna have a problem. Soon enough, they're gonna have a problem. Praise the Most High Yah. So we give thanks because we still here. Praise Yah. May the Most High bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Shalom, my brethren.